to whatever. I don't know what it was, but as they're just about to start the game, it almost seems insane that he's just that calm. But I don't know. That may be a good thing because there are players in this lineup. Kenny may be the highlighted example that has in the past had problems with pressure. The major before, I think the one they won where they got to the final, he just fell off the map. So maybe not having the pressure in this sort of circumstance could actually be really good for him. At the same time, there's still so many factors, and I'm still looking at VP and saying, if somehow Envy take you down on Cobble, then something has gone wrong in this whole tournament, and something has happened where we've lost both Na'Vi. I'm still a little bit shocked that Na'Vi are out. And not so much that Astralis beat them, but just the earlier games. I'm still that still hasn't quite gone through in my head. And if VP went out in the same day, I think someone will be picking me up off the floor.
I think that really sums up this entire tournament in a nutshell, really. It's basically none of these results we've witnessed today have really sunk in. We saw a couple of expected ones here and there, but no means have things really been a bit of a walkover today. And, well, that's exactly what we want to see from an intense Counter-Strike tournament such as this one, really just bringing us, well, some great Counter-Strike, because people were talking about this event going into it, including us as kind of the talent, just discussing this event before, on the day we got here, and basically mentioning the fact that this is a huge event for all these teams involved. We've got a lot of new rosters, a lot of changed rosters. Their dynamic is completely thrown up in the air, and in the past, you'd look at results and go, well, this team should have a good chance against this team. Now it's completely different because of those additions.
Well, for starters, we do have Envy on that T side, so I think that's a massive factor already. They get that start. I wouldn't say VP are bad at the CT side by any stretch. For me, they're probably one of the better ones, but at the same time, we're now going to witness Kenny and Co going all the way over towards that A side. It is looking like a bit of a retake strategy at the moment. Snacks, the Lone Ranger, that is much more common in the sort of buy rounds, but they've gone very heavy over towards B for a pistol, because if they run down, it's going to be very difficult. Taz buying a CZ as well, and they do have a few nades, flashbangs to get themselves back in, but now we're looking at the push coming in all the way through, getting onto the site. No real resistance so far, not even a frag.
Sixer, he's going to be trying his best, just spamming away the shots, finds himself one. Devil quick to answer back and finding a second as well. Pasha finally finds himself a trade on towards Devil, but it's still feeling just a little bit rough as the bomb has made its way down. Sixer going to be doing even more work, stepping up huge for this team in this fifth round. Is happy. Well, he's just going to add icing to the tape. And well, now, can they find the cherry on top? Bialy, he's the last man remaining. Will find himself one frag apiece on towards Kenny S. I have a feeling it's just not quite. No, hold on a second. Bialy, he's bringing himself back into this one, finds himself a second, looking for the third, but maybe the cherry, albeit somewhat late, finally delivered.
Yeah, they'll get that frag onto Bialy, a pistol around the... Well, you saw the idea from VP. It was much more of a retake, but you just saw sort of Snacks taking that peek, and he didn't spot anything, so they didn't actually have too many members over there, and then it just came down to the sort of jewels that were available, and Envy, they do the work. They get the pistol. That's the start that was mentioned on the desk that they needed. They're going to go for some heavy MAC-10 and utility alongside a couple of AKs in the hands of Sixer and Devil, and, well, Devil's been getting quite a lot of flack recently, but I don't think he was... Well, you can't blame him for the games yesterday. It wasn't too much of a problem, starting things off nicely as well here, so... I'm hoping that we get to see the best of him, because in his previous rosters, there was no doubt that he was one of the... Well, Envy not going to pick up a guy who just hadn't achieved anything, so that's the big thing for me.
Here's a prospect for you then. Of course, Schneider and Godsent, they've played today, and Schneider was actually talking about the fact that he felt he choked due to the pressure of people really just railing on him and railing on him as a player. Devil, let's be real, he's been under the same sort of intense pressure for quite a while now.
I don't think he's choked. Like, in the qualifiers, he was doing fine. I don't think it's anything to do with that. Taking pressure is definitely part of the job. Either way, this round looking very, very clean at the moment for the Envy side. The MAC-10's getting through, well, a kill apiece, which is nice, of course. $1,800 added to the bank accounts. Devil will, of course, as we saw, get the first kill. And now Snacks, well, he can try his best to save this weapon, or at least do some damage along the way, but eventually he will be taken down, and that's going to leave them with very little to play with in the next round. If anything, maybe just an upgraded pistol in the form of a P250 or a flashbang. I don't think we'll see anything other than that.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much point for them to go too crazily into this one. Just basically trying to utilize a couple of flashbangs or maybe even a smoke to try and get themselves somewhere in terms of venturing onto kind of a plateau. But even then, finding a frag at this point, the MAC-10s, they're still hungry for blood. We saw them find a frag apiece in the last round. It should be fairly simple for them to repeat similar successes. The only thing that will hold them back will be that solitary flash, and that has to be absolutely perfect just to connect one shot and well, one frag, even that, I don't look at that and go, well, that's a huge success.
Yeah, they are going for very heavy presence over towards B, but that's more of a normal strategy anyway, not so much of a stack. And again, Mac-10's making a nice amount of early cash, so looking for a little bit more. Has to be a bit careful there, Happy. Almost caught out switching weapons, especially went over to that CZ, which definitely doesn't help out too much. It will be a kill coming in for Bialy, but other than that, very clean and, well, only losing that one Mac-10, which gets 2 kills in the process, of course, paying for the weapon itself. That's a nice amount of money early on. Now, no AWP onto that VP side. Shouldn't be too much of a problem just yet. I am definitely looking to see the CT side from Envy later in the game, because one of the big things was the old process they used to play was the sort of AWP singular role, and we saw some interesting strategies come out when they last played with like a single mag 7 at one point just holding A, which was a bit of a questionable decision, and while we were hearing about the Mac-10 strategies and stuff. So this round they've kept one SMG, that's about it. Other than that, all upgraded rifles, and then we have, of course, the AWP on Kenny and plenty of utility.
I think I'm just going to say, just going back to the ACOM at the Max 7, that's just flat out ballsy. Well, going away from that one now, we are going to be looking to see what the outcome of this round will be. And, well, for EnVyUS, it's, well, we want to get on towards the A site. They're making quite a good chunk of noise. There really isn't anyone on the VP side able to really clock onto that one just yet, but they should have an idea that there's at least one player there. And that's something they can work with, especially when you look towards Happy. He's playing this lurk role, something we see him do so much, but he's just going to be deleted off the face of the earth. Pasha going to take him down a peg. And now they do have the 1-man advantage, holding this crossfire, and this is a very nice setup, because Snax, he gets one free pick. The trade will come in from Kenny S. The angles aren't quite there. Six are going to pull something out of thin air on towards Taz, which is a bit uncomfortable. Kenny S now going to be doing the work, popping off somewhat. And that's frags being found, and well, this is huge for EnVyUS, because they've made this one work. The VP really should have been able to hold things off.
Apex F with just a 5-7 as he drops his Mac-10. Kenny, he's holding the angle, trying to get the shot, and does the damage and the no-scope. That is wonderful stuff to finish that round off. Real big round coming out from Kenny early on, and as said, definitely a player that I think confidence can be very valuable for. So that will be a wonderful start for him in this sort of position. I'm not sure this is a tactical pause. I think it may be something technical due to Kenny actually getting up out of his chair, and you can see the sort of admins over there. So I don't think that is correct in terms of it being a tactical pause, but really nice round coming out there. Definitely some sort of more questionable decisions. And, well, Apex running in and just dropping his gun and picking up a 5-7 instead was definitely something I didn't see coming. But Kenny going big, and great start.
Yeah, certainly a big factor. For me, VP, they could have been able to do some work there. I think the unpredictable plays coming in from players such as Apex and Kenny also hitting a couple of shots towards the end, that's what caught them off guard, because they had the crossfires, they had the line of sight. We saw kind of that position over towards what being somewhat fruitful. The problem with that was there was no one there to hold them off long, and he was allowed to just be freely walked up on, and the trade was fairly easy for them to find. But reliving Kenny S, the second no-scope, well, that is basically Kenny S in reality, isn't it? Him stepping up to the plate, and we're now very much still sitting towards, will he be able to deliver that the entire game? Because if he is,
well, that's a big ask.
Starting to rescind the comments, and maybe this is not going to be so easy for VP after all. And, well, yes, you're 100% correct. It's a huge ask, and it's early days. But that's already a very good clutch to be kicking things off.
Yeah, no, he found a couple of nice kills there and opened the site up, because it did look like it was falling away a bit with Happy falling individually over towards the site. We saw 3 players very quickly over towards A before they actually really got too much presence, but 6 are chiming in with a kill alongside Kenny, just rattling off shots. Really did work nicely, and I do want to say that sometimes I feel Happy going down over on the other side is not that valuable for the team. But it did hold a couple of players over there. I would still prefer that when they actually have that push that he just rotates away. Got caught out a little bit. At the same time, if he got that first kill, it would have been nice. And, well, the other thing to mention about the previous game, especially, it was Taz. I think when we were watching, it was something like the first 7 rounds he didn't get a kill. And then the next, was it 8? He got 10. So it was just a really weird showing from him in the first half. And I think they started CT, right? And they didn't really achieve too much, got 7 rounds. So slow starting, not going to be too much. Obviously, the comparison between top and bottom after 4 rounds does leave it looking quite bleak, because Kenny has only died once. And well,
I don't think that's really too much to read into that one.
You can't, a 7 KD, I don't think that will last very long. So not too much to really read into with that one. But as I said, we are just looking at the sort of technical issue at this point. You can see the sort of having a little bit of a conversation. Early days, not really anything to talk about, probably just something menial, but yeah, no, a nice start.
Well, maybe there's a topic of taking risks. That's something that you don't necessarily say too much when it comes down to these sort of matches in Counter-Strike. But Sixer was a prime example of that. Apex also, maybe that wasn't really risk, that was more just kind of a very much out there play.
He wanted a gun. He wanted to get rid of the Mac-10 and pick up a gun, and then found out that there wasn't a gun, so just ended up with a pistol.
But in terms of risks, I do want to kind of bring this one home. Is it actually worthwhile for Envy with this subject of bringing Sixer into the lineup due to this kind of problem of MK not being able to be here? Is it worth for them to kind of deviate away from what they know and setups that potentially you look at and go, well, you've got a substitute, this is what you can fall back to? Or is it worth for them to go out there for these kind of unknown plays, taking those risks, darting out through smokes and such?
Well, darting out through smokes, I wouldn't say is, in terms of Envy, isn't risks. I would actually put that further towards their standard style of play, especially in the old style of Happy, where it would just be, he lives in the smokes, he was born in the smokes. That's not the sort of same scenario. So, in terms of actual gameplay, they've already said that they couldn't teach him a lot of their standard setups. But if it's more basic stuff, then yeah, sure. On Cobblestone, in terms of basic smoke setups, that would mainly be over towards B, because a lot of the A stuff involves just smoking off the door or the window, which most players should be able to do. In terms of the site, yeah, you may smoke it off to get as close as you can, but it's not going to be anything too crazy. And from what we've seen so far, a lot of it was just, hey, Sixer, run. And he was just all the way up. He was the first one in. And that could work very nicely for them. Even if he is just to go down, I know it's a bit harsh saying maybe cannon fodder, but if he goes in, finds that information, he takes a trade, that's perfect, because now they can just fall back to something more standard. They can have the duos that they played off before. But I think, like, saying that they couldn't have taught him anything, they have been practicing throughout the days. Like, they've had, all the teams have a nice practice arena here. Like, there is a massive long corridor, which I haven't even walked all the way down yet, just full of teams playing. So they have had time to sort of go for some basic stuff, and that's why I'm not so surprised about the Cobble map, the fact that they played it the first time and now they're playing it a second time. It could have just been one of the ones that they practiced better. But in terms of risk, I think there's always going to be risk in Counter-Strike. You have to take risks to get reward, especially if you're down or if you are in a weakened position. But I think in terms of the T side of Cobble, a lot of this will just come down to, okay, are you hitting the sort of basic smokes? And if you do go for a setup onto B, will you actually smoke off all the areas? Otherwise, I feel like VP will punish you. And also, in terms of the speed as well, because these rounds have been pretty quick, will eventually either VP react and punish you, and then you have to come up with something else, or will VP then start going aggressive? Like we know over towards the B site, a lot of the information plays involve aggressive pushes. Like you have to see someone go all the way up onto plat, maybe using the stairs or jumping up broken wall. You could boost someone as well over towards drop. These information plays, and so far, well, we've just seen in the sort of the majority of rounds that have mattered, for example, the pistol and the one buy we've seen, it is very early. You have to remember that, very, very early. But from what we've seen, it's just, okay, let's barrel out A, not give them a chance to really do anything. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but every single player was pretty passive on the VP side. So until the very end where they came around the back, they had no information.
So really what we're looking towards now is, on the EnVyUS side of things, as they get pressured towards the later end of this game, and as we even get into kind of the middle portion of this first half, will they be able to be dynamic? And on the VP side of things, just also them kind of changing things up, starting to adapt to the fact that EnVyUS, currently, they're just throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks, and, well, just going flat out aggressive in terms of just pushing straight up onto these sites and going for this full committal frontal push. So for VP, that's what I want to see. Can they start to play a little bit more aggressive and also start winning the information war? Because on CT side, we've discussed many a cast, and pretty much everyone out there discusses the fact that you need to have some information on your CT side. You can't just go and flat in dry, because 9 times out of 10, unless you're playing very specific styles of teams, you are going to find yourself being hard countered by flat-out aggression, solid utility, and overall good flashes. But we're back into things. Already we can see it's still the same old scoreline, and well, now we're looking to see if VP can actually enter the scoreboard. The problem is, and it's a very bleak problem, it's just pistols, Tom.
Yeah, they've got some nades, though, and already the first has done a nice amount of damage to Happy. So looking at what the other two are actually going to be used for, I think they're both over towards B as well. So if there is any sort of push, there's still a double nade to come in. And, well, the majority of players are over towards that B side. It's very early in the round, so there's no real dedication to this just yet. That second nade is actually going to do even more. Happy is just being brutally, like, bludgeoned down on HP, and well, he's now going to throw out the flashbang to have a little bit of a peek. Not quite connecting the shots there. I thought Bialy may be able to just remove him from the map. And they're actually going to throw a secondary flash just as they move back. And, well, now, as I said, it was very early in the round. They're going to go all the way back. They've realized that there's not too much to play with here. They're actually going to avoid the choke point that's on long. The only real factor is the fact that there is now a bit of a flank.
There's also a bit of a crossfire starting to build up, but the problem is the range. Snax is going to be trying to do somewhere from behind, but shots will land, but it's just not quite going to be fatal. Well, now we're looking at SMGs and rifles. Virtus.Pro down a piece, and well, the big problem for me was, yes, they've taken a lot of damage. Happy took a lot of damage very early on, but it wasn't quite enough. Now, Taz, he's managed to get himself behind Sixer. We'll pick off one, picks up a second dot towards Kenny. How on earth did he pick that one up? He has got the AWP, as you say, needs to land another shot, picks off Apex. Now he can do some work. That's easy. 4 shots left, though, and that's the huge factor here. Tom, 4 shots, turns around, goes for the second shot with the AWP, but the answer finally going to be a flat-out no. But the fact we even had to get into that one is somewhat surprising, because that should have been a very easy round just to shut out.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. I feel like him being able to get away with that much with just a CZ is a bit scary, even given the opportunity to reload and pick up an AWP. So when it came down to that last shot, if he'd hit that, then he actually had a huge chance. And considering what they put into that round, the reward was definitely worth it. Mainly the reward of what Taz put in. He doesn't get too much money back off the CZ, but what he actually removed from the EnVy side was valuable. Not going to hurt their economy too much. They've made a lot of money off the SMG buys and the fact that a lot of the rounds have been relatively clean. In terms of the buy now, though, we do have Snax on an AWP. So they're still playing 2 players over towards that A site, which can leave holes. And in terms of the actual mid presence where we see that sort of window play, it's not there at all. So drop is solely being held by Bialy at the moment. So a lot of pressure on his shoulders. In terms of the rest of the play, we're just looking at this A presence again. Again, it doesn't have to go just yet, but at the same time, it's a Virtus.Pro style of play of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, we'll just keep going to go this way.
This position from Taz, though, I'm very scared for EnVyUS. If they decide to work at all through the smoke, they could have a very nice gift wrap surprise waiting for them right around this corner. You can see them getting themselves ready. The flash is going to pop off. Sixer, he has an idea, but Snax, he's already going to be delivering a very fatal blow straight to the hands of Devil. So not the ideal way to kick things off. You can see Snax, the reason he's pushing up and getting aggressive is to play this bait and switch role. They don't want them to check the corner. They want all eyes to be on Snax. That's where Taz gets to go huge. Now Snax, he's just going to be peeking back out again, trying to really play that one quite well. Paz, he's going to go for the peek. Finds himself one pick. The and Snax, they're just going to do the rest of the work.
How did Apex get that far out and not have any impact at all? That's a little bit of a problem.
Huge factor alone in that round.
He got very, very far. I think the crossfire was nice, and the flashbang thrown by Sixer actually did so much. He blinded both, but nobody peeked, so unfortunately not going to have any sort of impact on the round so far. Of course, not really anything too crazy to talk about here. They just got shut down. Eventually, the A hold worked out nicely. The crossfire was in play, and they'd even, by the time the site push actually came in, you could see there was a 3rd player on the site waiting in case the 2 players up close did go down. So nice hold there from VP. Of course, they've got to continue this into the next round, and now we do see sort of EnVy going, okay, now we're going to start over towards this B site. We've already seen them rotate away after finding frags or just baiting out rotations, so there's still the potential there, but now they have fallen back. It's almost as if they know. They've gone, okay, we've beaten them on A. This is us. We know that if we grind somewhere it doesn't work, then we just switch for a bit. So they've left 1 player on A and now got their more common setup of the window position and Bialy holding further back and just isolating them over towards this drop position. However, that's not going to help. Bialy pushes away, and that's going to just hand Pasha's life over the smoke a little bit too late, and now a man advantage for EnVy.
Just leaving me out to dry. A very unfortunate decision being made, and that's going to be the trigger point. They're just going to push straight on out on towards this site. Apex going to pick up one Taz, trying to do a job to hold things off. Neo going to be there Aiden picking up 2 apiece. Sixer trying to trade things back. Happy going to do some work of his own. And, well, this leads to the very bludgeoning outcome of Snax left alone. A 1 versus 2, an AWP in hand. He does have a kit, that's a good factor. Going to be going for the first shot. Cuts it very close, but a skin of his teeth, Kenny will get away.
Oh, there you go.
The second shot, it's going to be enough to seal the deal.
Yeah, peeks back into the AWP of Kenny, and that was never going to end too well. Neo doing some great work on the side. That's the first 2 kills he's had and was just sort of maneuvering himself over. But I spoke about Apex at the beginning. He gets 2 opening frags there. The first, entering onto the site, takes down Pasha, and then actually pushes back through the smoke and starts things off again. Kenny, since that sort of the 7-1 scenario, hasn't had to do too much just yet, but ends Snax towards the end, drops that AWP, and you look at the buy now, there's 3 M4s, a Mag 7. Taz, he's been fine with the CZ so far, but at the same time, it's not the ideal scenario, and already we see Apex down to 45 HP.
Pasha, he's going to be the fun one. He's got the Mag 7 very, very close, but it feels like he's almost dazed as he spirals around the corner, tries to find something through the smoke, just dancing away, and it's just not going to work. And when you look at the positioning of the rest of the EnVy players, this is one hell of a setup taking place, as now it's one player left to do the work. It's all going to be on Snax. He's only got a rifle. They're barreling out head first towards him. He will find one on towards Kenny. But will it be enough to hold those floodgates?
Rotation's very quick, though, from VP. They've already brought 3 players over towards Snax in this off angle. He's done his job perfectly, finds 3 kills, and that's just going to leave them with 2 to try and force the issue. They've got a minute left. They don't have to dedicate, but I feel like they've just pushed way too far up. And look at the position of Happy. He made it work nicely to force them to stay on B, but then the push just came out. They weren't able to shut down Snax. He did get 2 back, but it's not quite going to be enough, and that will be another round on the board for VP. So much better from them. In terms of that buy, I don't really know how that paid off, and it was a bit unfortunate because, well, it was unfortunate for EnVy, but great work from Snax because he finds the first kill, does a little bit more damage, takes some himself and falls back, and by that point he's already spotted out, what, 3, 4 players, and just basically goes, okay, everybody rotate. But Happy's already rotating back over to join up with his team, which is what I wanted to see. Unfortunately, the team itself doesn't manage to do the damage.
We have 2 options for EnVy. They can go hard and fast or slow and steady with these Tech 9s. They've basically went to equalize their economy, and it seems like we are going to be seeing
slow and steady and Tech 9s in the same sentence? Are you mad?
There is an opportunity. Some teams have been able to pull it to complete success just by waiting for that first pick and then charging in like balls as you have that red flag just waved in front of your face. Seems like EnVyUS, they are kind of waiting for that. They're seeing where they can find themselves a pick, and that'll be the biting point. The problem is the site they're pushing towards. Pasha is there, well, with a very nice Mag 7 in hand. And he could be the one to go absolutely huge in this round for VP.
I think the first point of contact there was just to make as much noise as they could over towards A and rotate away, because they have actually pulled the defense a little bit. One player will still remain. That's going to be Taz over towards drop. But in terms of the actual hold, it's very weak, I would say, over towards the site. Unfortunately, they don't have a long-range weapon, and this just allows Neo to just spray one down. And Pasha, he's not been realized. This is the worst possible scenario. He's dropped the bomb on the plat. Tech 9s are going to achieve nothing. A clean round for VP, building up their economy. And, well, that went really wonderfully for them. The fact that they didn't check that corner, there was no hope after that point because the bomb was on the plat.
Nice and smooth, and that's what they need. Just these clear-cut rounds, no losses being made. And, well, because economy is going to be a big factor for them in terms of them bringing themselves back into this matchup. Because the scoreline right now, it was starting to look a little bit bleak. But 6-3, that's not half bad. And well, if they can keep this one going, get it to 6-4 and start to build back into it, the potential for them to start doing some real damage certainly exists.
Well, this is it. AWP back onto Kenny, looking to see if he can have the impact he had on the earlier round. That nade is going to do so much damage. So 65 HP lost. He's left with 35 on the board. They have plenty of utility to play with on both sides of the board at the moment. Neo expending a little bit more of his over towards the plat position and just basically holding them back before they can rush down. 1 minute 20 on the clock. EnVy not going for anything too crazy just yet. Devil will go for a bit of a spray, but again, it's very early in the round. They've been playing the rotation game quite a bit, which I like. The only problem is I think Virtus.Pro are starting to get wise to it. They're keeping Taz very ready, and they've actually adapted their sort of setup every single time. And although they're relying a lot on Snax, he's actually doing a very good job.
It's almost a bit of a throwback to that long technical pause where we discussed things such as adaptation and things along that thought process. But you can see them kind of inkling their way towards drop zone. They have kind of a target painted well and truly on Taz's back. But are they going to realize that's the corner they need to check? As Apex, he's already down, ready and waiting, looking for Bialy. But he also has potential to pick up a player on platform if it doesn't quite work out in his favor. Bialy, he's going to be going for the aggressive peek, lands the shots, albeit a little bit rough, which is not what I wanted to see. But he does find the frag.
Yeah, he manages to save the life of Pasha as well, but that is very short-lived. Sixer with 2 entry kills into the site. Kenny finds another, and Devil with a tap. This round has just quickly fallen apart for Virtus.Pro. Nice work from Sixer on the entries as well, so definitely looking like he's a bit more present on this T side. Of course, Snax, last player left. He's the A site player trying to rotate in again. Kenny's going to be holding the angle. Doesn't have any armor, so does have to be relatively careful. And in fact, Snax will just fall back now, throw out a nade for luck, and then just fall all the way onto A. So another round for EnVy. They get to 7. The economy from VP won't be too crazy either. They did have a clean round, so there is still the potential for them to buy, but I think this rifle save could actually be more crucial than meets the eye. Of course, the one advantage of having Pasha constantly playing with a Mag 7 means that his buy is so much cheaper and could actually earn a lot more money than he actually loses if he dies. So we are looking at what they'll have into the next round. It not going to be anything too great. Pasha should actually be able to buy just because he's going for that Mag 7 if he wants to continue that on. And there you go. That is going to allow them to buy.
Yeah, and that's a buy not to be shy of at all. Mostly down to something really being stressed about. The Mag 7, of course, there's a couple of bit of shaky utility, but unlike the Chinese team we did witness just before, they are putting emphasis on these smokes, and that's really what we needed to see. Smokes, flashes, a little bit more limited. They have paid the price, but it's enough to get themselves a solid hold and really just play the patience card, which we can see they're going to be dropping them down towards the more aggressive point of platform, seeing what they can work with. And Pasha, he's trying to change things up and really just catch them off guard. EnVyUS, they are starting to clock on to these common positions. You can see Kenya's just jump spotting the back corner and seeing if maybe he can spot one out and then go for that follow-up shot through the smoke. But ultimately, we really shouldn't be seeing any picks at all until around the 50-second marker when you just take stock of these positions being played.
And I like this. They've actually adapted their drop hold just because of in the last round, if you see when Pasha goes aggressive, the peak from Apex wasn't aiming for Bialy at all. It was 100% just to try and take it for Apex. 2 headshots. Really nice stuff there. Just spray control on point. Devil finds another, and that was perfectly done from him. There's only one player left on the site. Again, it's going to be Snacks, and, well, they went from doing wonders on A to wonders on B. The drop change up was just trying to save Pasha, and instead they lose both players in one foul swoop.
Good night, sweet dreams, Virtus.Pro. A roundhouse kick delivered brutally to their front door. Snacks, he is the last man remaining. Maybe he will fall. Looks like it potentially could be happening as Happy. He's quick on his heels, just really nipping away to see if he can be the man to do the job. Ultimately for Snacks, no matter the outcome here, it's been a pretty brutal round. It's now EnVyUS really stepping up to the plate and starting to chain things together. Virtus.Pro, their economy certainly, it's good because of a couple of factors, but it's not going to be enough to keep them constantly buying back into things.
Well, I don't think they have enough to buy back into this one. I think that's it. They've won a couple of rounds in a row, and now they've lost a couple in a row. The only reason they could buy on the sort of previous one because Pasha was buying up with a Mag 7. The rest of the players did not have too much. I think the max they had is a couple of grand. So really nice. This was just so impressive. This second shot where he just flicks. Bialy does miss, but that headshot was just wonderful to control that. So really opens up the round, and that is going to be an eco coming out now for VP. So 9 rounds looking like a high possibility at the moment for Envy, and the CT side especially drop. And that was always the thing. I was always a big fan of the drop hold from Virtus.Pro, the fact that they would allow them to have it, but then if they went anywhere near that window, Taz would end them. The problem is they haven't gone near window. They've just gone, okay, we're going to avoid window and just challenge Bialy, and he hasn't been able to cope with it so far. In this round, not too much to play with. Just looking at Happy, pretty much just feeling out the area. Will possibly go down, but he's got support from Devil, who's having a pretty good game as well. I don't really have anyone to sort of rail on for EnVyUS. They're looking for their 9th round. On the entry kills, Apex has been great. Sixer has done some work as well. Kenny with the AWP, not had any problems there. And even the lurking from Happy has actually had its moments.
What I actually want to see now is EnVyUS on their CT side, because everything is holding up all well and good for their T side. Entry picks are being found, and, well, frankly put, everything is nice and peachy. For me, what really comes home is if EnVyUS can pull off this on their CT side, if they can find the picks, do the damage. It's a much harder task to do the damage on the CT side in terms of just being aggressive, getting information, and having a team basically not just plow over you.
Yeah, the other thing to mention, though, is if they continue the streak that they're doing at the moment, like in terms of money, they're going to be able to buy even if they lose one. So if they get to, say, 11, 12 rounds, win a pistol, it depends how good you really value the T side of Virtus.Pro. I don't think they're just going to string, that many rounds in a row together to just end it. So they need to get some CT rounds. They need to do something here. Snacks on the A side, the reason things have gone wrong in the last few is because he's had to rotate away back to B after everybody's dead. 4 players and only really dropping maybe 1 or 2, and that's not good enough. You need to be finding these frags, and they are just constantly trying to edit the way they're playing. This time they've abandoned drop in a very different way, seeing the rotation come back in from Bialy, but they're now having 3 players onto the actual site itself, granted almost in a straight line along the wall, and they've switched it now that Taz is the one player over towards A, so giving a lot more over to Snacks. He's got that AWP, holding the angle as well, so trying to switch things up again. So definitely props for adaptation, but I don't know. It's getting to a point where if EnVy get too many more rounds, they're actually looking like they're going to take this.
What comes to mind for me is you basically have to cherish the little things because both of these teams are making these small, subtle changes when it comes down to peeking. And Apex is going to go for a bit of a different one, the sidewinder peek, and he just makes it work. Pulse 2 out of nowhere. Neo finally going to answer back, but I feel like that's a phone call that he just wanted to slam down way too early. A salesperson that you want nothing to do with, but he lets it string on. And now Taz, he's going to be doing some work of his own, finds 2, a spray down being made. But it's still fairly rough as Devil. He's completely intact. He's hungry for Neo, and he's going to catch him somewhat off guard, trying to go for the frag. Nearly makes a meal of things, though, and that could be...
How has he caught Snacks?
Snacks.
What? I don't know what happened with Snacks there. What? Was he picking up another weapon? I genuinely have no idea how he just didn't know where Devil was. Didn't seem to be paying attention. This has come back to a 1v1. Devil's been handed a lifeline, and the life, you look at Neo, he doesn't have very much at all. He's got to hit this headshot. Holding the position over towards Chicken, and we are just looking at Neo now. He's slowly edging his way back around the site, but the angle is being held. This should be primed and ready, and there is Devil, the man who gets the flak, but he brings this back. 1v2, takes down both, and I have no idea what happened there with Snacks.
It says it all, really, doesn't it? It's a valiant attempt by Taz. Let's just really not rail on him, because he did a solid job at finding a couple of frags and doing his part of the job. But it's all well and good doing his job. The rest of his team, not so much. Snacks being caught completely off guard. No idea what he was even doing around that pillar. He stared at a player and was caught just, left standing, no ability to respond.
Even the start of the round where Apex manages to just sort of push in and find 2 kills while there's 2 players watching that angle. Pasha is the only one he's sort of just a bystander. And every time he seems to be the one getting shot, and he just sort of like, oh, well, nothing I could do here, but great work from Apex again. He's just been, brutalizing that drop-down position, just going down and going, okay, that's 2 kills for me. Whether it's up the top, like looking down, or whether he drops down into it and finds another 2. But if you're getting 2 frags at the beginning of every round, yes, they brought it back, but that's just such a brutal way to start things off, and props to him really stepping up at the moment. And this was one of the highlighted factors. This was one of the things that Des spoke about, that if this guy, along with Kenny, is able to step up, they're a team to be reckoned with no matter what's in the roster, whether they have 6 or not. And 6 has been doing some great work too.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like 6 has been asleep and he's at the back pedestal not really doing some work. No, he's finding frags. He's doing a job that his team have given him, and it's all working out. And now Virtus.Pro, they're still left with just pistols, crumbs to play with. Can they do any damage at all? Well, Happy, he's just going to give a decisive headshot on towards Pasha. And at this point, it feels like Virtus.Pro, they're just being smashed back into the ground. And I've seen this once before today. I sat there, I had belief in Virtus.Pro to bring things back. But at this point, is it even credible? They're having a very tough CT side. Taz, he's going to do some work with the CZ.
A lot of damage. Hell of a lot of damage being done. But it doesn't look like it'll be enough unless Neo can connect some remaining shots. Kenny has the one-shot weapon, but so does Neo. Just a little bit more difficult. Time is also on his side. Only 8 seconds left. He's actually going to find one. And now Kenny, he's planting the bomb. He's got to try and find this kill. Neo doesn't quite manage to do it. Does a lot of damage. Don't really expect him to get that far. But Pistol's doing work. But at this point, it's 11-3 at least. 12-3 could be coming up if they don't manage to bring this back. They will have a bye. They have the AWP now actually in the hands of Pasha, who hasn't been able to do too much. He's been skimping onto that sort of Mag 7 a lot of the time. And he's had to sort of have the problem of, okay, someone's gone drop and killed me. So I do feel a little bit sorry for him, but at the same time, he hasn't done too much even when. The only memorable kill I can actually think of is the one where they had the Tech 9s on EnVy and he found that kill while sat in the corner. Other than that, hasn't been too much to rave about in terms of Pasha either way. But double AWPs, they are going all in for this final round of the half. And EnVy, they've got to be feeling so happy and getting pretty pumped up at this stage.
They're going to be feeling the fire. It's going to be pushing them further and further into this matchup because this is very important for them. Of course, the loser of this team, that's it. They're done. There is no stadium for them, Tom. Their journey here is over, and EnVyUS right now, they're proving they want it, and they want it in one hell of a fashion. These 2 players we mentioned, they're stepping up in a very nice way, but it's not just them, it's the entire team. And Kenny S, he's already going to be popping into action. Takes down Pasha, a player that we've already said has just unfortunately been the target of these entry picks practically every round.
Yeah, this time he does try to go for an AWP peek and gets punished for that very moment. Bialy up higher this time, and will Apex be ready for this? He has blinded him up. The counter flash Actually coming from a teammate, I'm not sure, but either way, looking towards Neo now. Coming in from behind, finds one. Actually switches out to the AWP after running out of ammo. Looking for a little more. It's a 2v2 in this circumstance. Kenny gonna go aggressive, and this leaves one man alone. Snax to try and bring this back. Already taking a hell of a lot of damage. Looking like a 12-3, maybe inevitable, but he's got to try and bring this one.
Playing around the pillar, a couple of flashes going to be popped. The smoke going on towards door really will aid EnVyUS in terms of slowing things down. They want advantage for Snax. Now he has an opportunity to try and go a bit crazy, but you can see Happy, he's completely aware of what is going on. He's holding the angle, just sprays through the smoke when he hears the jump popping off and takes him down. And I want to kick things off, and I want to say, there was a decision made by VP, and it was just a bit rough. They could have waited. They could have just played around some angles a little bit better, but they went aggressive and they tried to pull these frags out, and it's just not going to work, especially at this sort of scoreline.
I think that's sort of a last-ditch effort.
Yeah, I can see why they're trying to go for something,
with the AWPs,
balls out like that.
Crazy.
But also, when it comes down to the fact that Neo was on platform, he spotted 2 players out. There was no need for him to fall back and go for the AWP. He could have found a second frag fairly easily with the rifle. He had the positional advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Boy, it's been questionable plays all the way across the board. Can't take anything away from Envy. They've been punishing every one of these mistakes, and again, they managed to get themselves out onto the site. It just didn't really seem too good there. I can see why they went for something a bit more crazy on the Virtus.Pro side. Nothing else works. Let's go for double AWPs and try and play the picks, but it doesn't work again. And now, well, we wanted to see the CT side of Envy. We may not get to see too much of it if they manage to win this pistol. A lot of nades onto Pasha. In terms of utility, it's Sixer with the kit, and he's going to go for a bit of a peek. Neo already into the Krev and just waiting, watching to see if he can actually spot anyone out, but it will just be a waiting time at the moment. They are all gathering up over towards B. One of the nades is already being used, and we are looking at the drop-down push coming in at the same time.
Devil unhappy. They have to be this dynamic duo and land those shots. Of course, you can see him just playing, basically just waiting. Pasha will be knocked down. The push going to be coming into the drop zone. They've not spotted him out at all. Happy. Well, he just made a complete mess of things. That's embarrassing. VP have dwindled their way onto the site one by one. Apex only going to find actually 1 frag alone for the EnVyUS side. Makes it 2. They are very low on the VP side, but I still have to feel like this is a very tough task for him. But he lands the first, going for the second now. Trying to play around the lands as well, going for the third, spamming away, and he lands a shot, takes down Neo.
What was that? Where did that come from? Okay, no, sorry. I have the desk just seen something in the future? Like, we saw the veto come up early, and they were like, oh, we're foreseeing things. Oh, maybe Apex has to go crazy for them to win this game. That is what you call going crazy. What was that, 1v3, 1v4? Just absolutely destroyed. Gets the ace overall. Massive round coming out from Apex, and I have no idea how they lost that. No idea. It just... That's crazy.
Currently, they find themselves being just smashed against the dirt. The first match they played today hasn't worked out for them. That was their first match of this tournament. The second match, well, we're looking down the barrel of a 13-3 scoreline. Nobody out there can be singing the praises of Virtus.Pro currently. Nothing they're doing is working. The best advantage they've got, go into this one guns blazing, put everything they've got on the table, lay it out and work out, well, what's the plan, boys? And so far, it seems to be sent 2 down drop, split towards the A site in a bloody hope that no one there is ready and waiting. Happy, he's going to be there to spot things out, get the information, gets caught off guard. But the drive-by, credit to VP, is working.
Yeah, they've managed to get themselves the 2 opening frags of the round. Devil will trade one back with a P90, looking for a little bit more. Pro 90 power at the moment as he trades back to an even standpoint. We are still looking at Sixer and Kenny to come in from a similar angle. Devil will be slowed down by the Molotov, and the one thing that they do have still is some utility snacks. Up close and personal, Taz is going to find one, and it's looking like they will bounce back from this unless Devil can find another ace out of the blue. I didn't see it coming in the last round. Maybe I won't see it in this. And he almost manages to take down Pasha. 1 HP. But, well, the bounce back. And Happy, well, seemed to be a little bit off in the last couple of rounds as well. Like, he didn't find the frag well behind them. Who was it who actually took the silencer off their pistol as they ran in? I think a bit of a mistake there. But they're still heftily in the lead. There is going to be somewhat of a buyback. And, well, 2 Mag 7s in play. 1 with no armor. Happy with the pistol, and same with Sixer, and then just a dig onto Kenny, possibly saving a little bit of money.
Maybe Virtus.Pro are out of the count after all. Maybe they're trying to play to the tune of proving me wrong, because I am starting to lose faith. I'd be kind of lying if I said I wasn't, especially after just the results in general today and overall individual performances. Asher needs to start doing something here. Apex with a Mag 7 spams 2 shots through the smokes, connects both of them on towards Taz. Neo, he will start things off with a Mag 10 though, finding the first blood on towards Kenny. A nice start, but Sixer, he's out on the site, and does anyone even know he's there?
Yeah, Well, they will eventually take him down. It was a little bit sneaky there. Happy will find one, but he doesn't have any HP left, so there's not too much worth going for here. We'll throw out the nade, and Neo very low on HP, 6 in fact, but not enough to actually remove him from the map. Happy still lurking around this position, but eventually will fall back, and Apex looking like he's just trying his best to save this Mag 7. Of course, could have some value later on. Not going to, in fact, except for the $600 that he hands over to Bialy when falling. A lot of damage has actually been done in this round. SMGs galore on the side of Virtus.Pro, but they will win the round. They get themselves to 5. And now we will have to see likely some sort of eco coming out from EnVy.
Most important factor for VP is the slow slog begins. They're starting to build things up. They've got themselves to 5. They do have a couple of chances to play with because EnVyUS are only at 13. But then I say that as if it's a light feat. They're at 13. It's still a very long distance for them to pull things off. But they have found themselves the last 2 rounds. They should basically, without really any resemblance at all, be able to pull away this third. The big thing for me is going to be the follow-up buy round coming in from EnVyUS and what sort of response we start to see from the CT side.
But they've just got to do the same as their opposition did. Build up some money, get momentum rolling, find the weaknesses and exploit them. One of them was definitely drop in the last half, and, well, it's looking like they're trying to find the same here. Of course, we already see just the farming begin. Bialy getting 2 kills, $1,200 made. Sixer with nothing in the bank. Happy, the only one with anything left. And Apex, well, he's just going to try and do as much as he can. Manages to earn himself an extra $300, but that will be all. And 6 now on the board for the Polish.
Now we get to see, really, what are EnVyUS made of on the CT side? Something we've really all been waiting to see. Well, it's KennyS with the AWP. Rifles starting to be brought back into the table. We really should see the follow-up coming in from Devil unless he decides to go for a crazy shotgun play, which is not going to happen. It's going to be the 4 flat rifles backed up by the AWP of KennyS. And we mentioned that Apex and Kenny, they were playing on point in the first half. Something I kind of followed up with was I wanted to see what they can do on the CT side because it's much harder to do the work.
I don't think anybody had a bad first half. In fact, I think everybody had their moments, and Kenny was definitely good to start them rolling and have some important picks across the board. But definitely Apex was someone to highlight, especially with the pistol ace. I don't even know how that really happened. I think I almost lost my voice off the back of that one into the supersonic zone. But either way, they are now back with the buy. Kenny onto the AWP. Solo play will be on Apex's shoulders, and there's a little bit of a rotation from Happy, but he's still just holding outside. Not going quite as close to the window as we see from Taz, but still holding that area to try and stop them. I think he got surprised last time, so doesn't want to basically make sure that that happens again. We do see the AWP onto Snacks once more, and Neo still playing with the Mag 7, which was picked up in the previous round, so they are still trying to make money.
Yeah, money making is going to be the aim. Well, you can see a bit of utility being expended, a pop flash thrown straight on over to the B site, basically trying to distract them and force them to maybe have a bit of second thoughts as already Neo. He will be doing the work, follows up with a second headshot straight on towards Sixer. A very nice impact being made. KennyS trying to claw something back.
He's going to get 3.
He's caught completely off guard. Now he's just trying to do even more. Apex will pick off 1 through the smoke, finally punishing this Mag 7. But now it's still the 2 versus 3. The bomb is going to make its way down. Pasha going to be looking to do some work of his own. Apex going to be aiding this reversed boost coming on in as Happy wants to go over from platform. Will it work out for them? It's still 2 versus 3. The HP well and truly intact on all of these players alike. It doesn't feel like there's too much of a window for EnVyUS to try and pull this one off.
Yeah, I don't think they're going for this one. Just going to try and hold back, maybe do a bit of extra damage. They've got quite a few rounds to play with still. Even after this, there's 6 rounds before level pegging is even a possibility for Virtus.Pro. So definitely want to, well, just play it a little bit more slow, not go for anything too crazy. A bit like, well, talking of crazy, Neo there, just pushing out, finding 3 kills. And there you go, they managed to drop 2. Snacks will survive at the back of the site, and they will in fact pick up a couple of AKs as well. So all in all, not a bad haul. In terms of, well, you actually look in terms of fragging, it is fairly even. Of course, the stand-in at the bottom of the board, but more importantly on the opposing side of things, it's a similar circumstance. 4 kills at the bottom of the board at the moment. 6 are currently having more of an impact. Of course, it is a T-sided map. Can't take anything away from that. And we are still waiting to see if EnVy will be able to claw some rounds other than the pistol. In terms of the buy, it is just going to be those 2 AKs. Of course, no harm in saving on the CT side. You still get that lost bonus money. And the rest of the team just going to go for some pistols off the back of that and be ready to buy in the next.
One thing we can't take away from VP is they are making it work. They're chaining these rounds together and making this slow slog turn into a bit of a rapid success as they got themselves to 7.
It's only 4. They've got 4 in it.
It's a good start, though. I think we certainly can't rail on them. You know, we've been quite positive for the fact that EnVyUS are doing their job. VP, on the other hand, they're starting to land their shots. They're starting to really prove that T-side is a successful point of couple. We can already see 2 frags being found by vialley, utilizing his rifle quite well. And the one perk for EnVyUS is the 2 rifles they've got are actually left standing. But there's so much time on the clock and really not much opportunity for them to be able to find too much.
Yeah, and in fact, it looks like they're actually going to go all the way over towards B. So the smokes have been thrown, and it looks like they've been baited. As now every other player of VP makes their way over towards that A site. There's no real hope for some sort of retake in this scenario. Of course, Devil doesn't really have anything to lose except for the value of his life, which is placed around $300, and that will go straight into the hands of Taz. The other 2 players they may as well save. They have some utility, they have Kevlar, and of course the AKs, which are the more viable of the rifles. If they can find an exit frag, it may be worthwhile. They can buy in the next, but I would prefer it if they just kept the AKs.
I think that would be the smart decision, but just as you speak,
Devil,
he fights back. Apex is going to fall happy, soon to follow. It means that EnVyUS, they will not be saving anything into this next round. They are going to be having to buy in completely dry. Thankfully, the economy is on their side. They will be able to still buy up the rifles nonetheless, but at least still getting the AWP into the hands of Kenny S. So it's well, basically everything they need in terms of tool set to deliver around on the board. VP, on the other hand, we really have to start centralizing on the fact they're starting to build up their coffers. $10,000 in the bank, or so, give or take some on Pasha. Starting to build up a good chunk on Snacks as well. Starting to look much better from them.
Yeah, of course. vialley finding some nice opening kills in the last round, and we gave a huge amount of praise to Apex. vialley is going to be that sort of counterpart role. We do have Snacks back with that AWP and plenty of utility to play with on both sides, actually. So definitely see whether or not this will help out EnVyUS as such, because the last buy they had was, of course, the one after the sort of save position. You don't normally have the same amount of utility as they do now. So this is their best chance so far. This is the sort of opening position, and if they lose this one, then things get scary. Kenny will find one. He is sort of isolated to the right side at the moment, but there's not going to be any response, not even a spray through, so he will just be able to retreat. And I feel like, knowing his position, it may have just been better to try and challenge that. They are going to spray now, but it's too little too late. Molotov it out. It doesn't matter. They couldn't even see if he was there, and he's escaped back. So nice start from Kenny. Finds the first frag. They know he's not there anymore, but he's got away with it.
Well, that's the thing. They've played the kind of we're going to cut our losses card and basically waited to see if they can claw things back in another manner. The problem with that sort of attitude, they're not making any movements towards any portion of the map. You can see them starting to creep up on towards the B site, but they're running things very low in terms of time. Pushing out on Plateau is not really a smart decision if you're looking for a soul trade. Of course, they're going to be looking to take the site. Neo is actually going to land himself a shot on towards Devil, but this is prime setup for EnVyUS. They can pick them off one by one. Kenny and Six are picking up one apiece. Taz, he will fight back and pick up one, and now they're going to be playing for the bomb plant. They should be able to get this one down, but EnVyUS, they're quick on the heels.
Yeah, and actually they're both going to miss, though. That's the bigger thing. vialley and Taz, they're doing the work very nicely. This leaves it just down to Happy. Low player in vialley. If he gets this frag, he has a big chance, and he hits the headshot. Nice stuff from Happy. He's going to bring this back, and they're going to win a round again off the back of a clutch. So, last man in, also the last man out. We're back into another round on the board, and that was the big one.
Can we just sit back and just talk about the fact that EnVyUS, they made a mess of that round. There were 2 players that had the prime position to do some damage, and the shots were missed. So that should not be a round that they walk away with a victory on.
No, that's definitely the case. They had the advantage, even in the 2v1 towards the end. Envy, they should have capitalized on it earlier, but they didn't. So either way, they come out with the round. And the only thing that has really taken a hit is the fact that they didn't do it very cleanly. So there is an opportunity now for VP to actually reset their economy straight back down to 0. Kenny will be back on the orb, but it's Sixer and Apex who are the ones struggling.
Devil's going to get himself very, very close, up close, ready to give Pasha a bit of a hug. He decides to go for a push, which, talking about going for a bit of a push, you can see Pasha just spraying away at the corner, trying to see if maybe a couple of shots will land. Unfortunately, today, not quite going to be that day. Smoke's starting to be expended on the EnVyUS side, so the utility's being popped off. But Apex, he's going to do some damage with the Max 7, picks up 2. Now he has to turn around and just hold that angle. But he's got a teammate that help him out. Apex is going to find another, finally going to be dropped, but Happy, he's there to play the supporting role, takes down Snacks. And goodbye once again, Virtus.Pro. You've been completely dismantled by key players, and the Max 7 just being allowed to do so much work. And all that's left to come to mind is just how...
The last time I hate on a Mag 7 position on A. Because he was alone there. He had support from Happy later on as he sort of came around the corner, but He manages to get 3 kills with nobody really forcing him out. That's insane. Nice stuff from him, hitting all of the shots, but someone from Beefy needed to close him down. Someone should have taken him out sooner, and by the time they did, everybody else had pounced and they were out of the round. They're going to have another bye. They're going to have another opportunity, but they are 1 round away from being knocked out of the tournament in joint last. Snax, this time he punishes Kenny. It is going to be those sort of rifles back on the board for both teams, but this is a position from Devil. It's a decent one. They're not going to check. He'll find one, but it's quickly traded from Neo. Now we look towards Happy. He has to get a frag here at least. He needs to peek out at the right time. The flash is perfect. Finds one, gets a second as well. Sixer looking for a little bit more. It leaves it just down to Snax in a 1 versus 2. He's going to get the first, looking for more. Doesn't have the bomb, but has plenty of time. It's Sixer, the stand-in, to try and take this over the line for EnVyUS. And he's going to be rotating all the way back, actually going all the way round towards A. Is this just some extreme mind games? It is. He's going to go running all the way round, try and play it off, and basically give time for Virtus.Pro to plant the bomb, give time to Snax to sort of take that decision.
Playing a man like Snax, that's one hell of a card to try and pull off, but props to Sixer, because he is the man to watch. He's creeping up on Plateau. Snax seemingly having no inkling that Plateau area is the place to be watching. And this could work out, well, in some huge dividends. As now Sixer, he's going to hear the sound cue, going to be creeping on up, ready and waiting to go for the peak. Snax still not making any inkling. He's going to go for the peak. The Nate time, it could be huge.
He's done it. He's done it. Stand in? Nah. Absolutely perfectly played. He reads him, and I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought Snax might clock on by that point, but that's it. The teams knocked out today are 2 of the favorites in the tournament. Envy have managed to do it. VP absolutely dominated, didn't have a chance on their CT side. They only managed to get 3 rounds. Props to EnVyUS. Huge props to EnVyUS. But what just happened?
No idea. It was some very nice plays going on, but it feels like VP just, they were lacking something. The spark wasn't quite there throughout the entirety of today, and I don't know what's missing. I can't quite put my finger on it. Hopefully the analysts can, because currently it's very clear something is missing, and they need to fix it.
Well, I want to talk about a little bit on their CT side. Like, they were constantly adapting. They played about 5 different setups for drop down. They tried to stop Pasha from going down early on from that very position. It did not work. They tried multiple different things. On their T side, I don't think there was too much of a problem. Towards the end, they made some massive mistakes, like that Mag 7 triple kill, the ace in the pistol. That should never have happened. It was a 1v4. He came back in, I think, found a frag, and then took down 3. So absolute insanity in some of the rounds, just based on afterplants and based on their actual positioning as a team. But it was more the CT side that they just lost so many rounds that everything just went wrong. Either way, that's my analysis done. You don't need to hear what I have to say, because after the break, we will be going back to the desk with Red Eye, and he will take you through with the analysts what they think of that game.
Gaming bets, online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2, make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO, guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Getting tired of playing with the usual skins, but don't have enough money to buy a new one? Get rich fast with CSGoFast.com. CSGoFast. It's a strong chance of winning in every game. Several rooms with different game modes. Daily, more than 1,000 games, 5,000 players, and 25,000 skins at stake. You don't need much in order to sweep the board.